Picture this. It's the brutal winter of 1940. The Soviet Union is locked in a bitter conflict with Finland, known as the Winter War. The landscape is a frozen, unforgiving wasteland of deep snow and thick ice. Conventional tanks are struggling, getting bogged down and becoming easy targets. The Red Army needs something new, something radical, something that can conquer the ice itself. Enter the ice tank. This wasn't just a nickname, it was a literal description. A group of Soviet inventors proposed a combat vehicle made almost entirely of ice. I know it sounds like something out of a comic book, but this was a serious proposal considered by the highest levels of the Soviet military. The core idea was to take pykrete, a bizarre and surprisingly strong composite material made of about 14% sawdust or wood pulp and 86% ice, and use it to build the tank's hull. Why ice? Well, the logic was simple. The raw materials, water and wood, were everywhere and practically free. You could build these tanks on site, right near the front lines, without needing complex supply chains for steel. The proposed design was a behemoth, weighing around 90 tons. It would have been armed with a standard tank turret and machine guns, and instead of tracks, it was supposed to glide across the frozen landscape on runners, propelled by a powerful aircraft engine and propeller mounted at the rear. It was essentially a heavily armored snowmobile. The inventors were so confident that they built a scaled-down prototype. Imagine a small, sleek sled made of glistening, reinforced ice, zipping across a frozen lake at impressive speeds. The initial tests were promising. The pykrete proved to be surprisingly resilient, able to deflect small arms fire. The vehicle was fast and maneuverable on the ice, exactly as intended. It seemed like this crazy idea might actually work. The military was intrigued. This could be the war-winning super weapon they were looking for, a ghost gliding through the Finnish forests. However, reality soon set in. While the prototype worked in ideal, controlled conditions, the battlefield was anything but. What happens when the ice tank encounters a patch of mud or rough terrain? It would be completely stuck. And what about the spring thaw? The unstoppable ice behemoth would simply melt into a puddle, leaving its crew and expensive equipment stranded. Maintaining the integrity of the ice hull under artillery fire was also a massive question mark. A direct hit from a high-explosive shell would likely shatter it, no matter how much sawdust was mixed in. The biggest problem, though, was its engine. The powerful aircraft engine required for propulsion was incredibly fuel-hungry. In a war where fuel was already a precious and rationed commodity, dedicating so much of it to a fleet of experimental ice tanks was simply not practical. The logistical nightmare of keeping them fueled outweighed the benefits of their cheap construction. As the Winter War came to a close in March 1940, the strategic need for such a specialized vehicle evaporated. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into weird military history, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you next time.